All right, this is to watch this video for Tuesday, January 17th. The market is closed on Monday for a holiday. SPY is still flagging up here near recent high, so we look pretty strong. I'm just going to go ahead and go into the watch list. So XGTI, have to zoom in a little bit. Had this kind of big rally from $1.50 all the way up to almost $3, then a couple days lower, and then look at that volume on Friday. Let's look at it on 15-minute candles real quick. Really nice afternoon spike, although it tried to roll back over and give it all back. It just makes me want to watch it. I don't know what if it's going to give me a trade on Tuesday or not, but it's interesting. I like that volume spike, so it definitely goes on watching it. It's one of those that shows you it can move at times. Lower float stock, those can move pretty well. Now this TBIO, this is a weird looking chart. Hard to know what to do with it. In the very short term, it looks like the bears are in charge, right? Because you had the gap up and a sell off, but then a pretty strong close, then a gap up and ran, and then ends up closing all the way at the low. So that's pretty bearish going into Tuesday morning. I still think it's worth having on watch. If we get a gap down, it might surprise people and then rally. So anyway, that's just sort of one of those that goes on a chart, but I have no idea how to play it, or if I'm going to play it, I'm going to need some kind of a decent intraday setup. OREX gapped up a bit on Friday, so I never caught a trade in it. It's certainly interesting over this 360 area, but it closed all the way down to 333, so it's got to move up 10% just to get there. But maybe we get a gap on Tuesday, or maybe it never triggers at all. Maybe it trades in a narrow range and then breaks out of that narrow range to the upside, and with its recent strength, they might pile in. So there's any number of things that can happen for OREX. It definitely goes on watch. MYOS had a huge move, then a red day, then a gap down, but closed green. So again, hard to know what to do with it, based on the daily chart, but definitely I want to have it on a chart because it can move pretty well when it moves. MRNS had a nice breakout on Thursday, and then Friday, watch this. If you go to 15-minute candles, this thing had a big intraday spike before grinding back lower on no volume, and then a big spike near the end of the day. What does that mean to me? It just means there's people watching it, and it's worth having on a chart. I mean, if you take Friday's candle out of it, right, you had a pretty nice breakout on Thursday. So, and it's still trading above where it started on Thursday. So it definitely needs to be on watch. IMUC. Big pop last week and then a few days lower. I like it as a potential long. ONTX, kind of the same thing as IMUC, big pop and then a few days lower on declining volume. Looks very similar to IMUC. ETRM, now this is a crazy one. If you've been trading at all in the last month, you know of this one, right? And it had this crazy move from whatever it was, $2 to over 30. And now you've had 3 days lower, actually 3 days where it closed below its open. And actually, it did close below Thursday's low on Friday. So it's worth watching. It is super whippy, spready, stupid. But if it gives me a very low-risk setup on a potential bounce play on Tuesday, I'll have a shot at it. We'll see, right? Just remember these warnings I gave you. It can trade crazy. APRI, I like this one. It had a really nice 3-day move here, and then a couple days lower on lower volume back into the 8 and 20 day. I like this one. All right. Sort of like you could call this a failed breakout right here over these December highs. But, a lot of times you get a retest or a partial retracement and then it goes. So it's a pretty good setup. That's APRI. GNVC, I like it over the 2-day high here. So I don't really have a call, based on the daily chart. Maybe over 650, like 652. Maybe it starts to head back up. And then lastly, I'm going to put PRAN on watch, which got a spike on Friday. I'd been watching this when it looked like this, a few days ago, and it was just getting no volume, so I quit watching it, and then I saw PRAN scrolling by on the volume scanner on Friday, but I didn't do anything with it. And here you can see it on a 15-minute basis. So there's that big spike. You can see the volume came in, and then it gives half of the spike back and goes sideways, right? So it never even came close to enticing me into a trade on Friday, but it does land on my watch list, because if this can show any strength, you've got a couple catalysts here, right? A break of Friday's high would be 287, and then a break of the high of that big rally day, which was 298. So then you got, the possible inflection point of through the whole number 3. So this one could get fast if it can get over 287 or 286. So I'm going to call 287 a potential catalyst on Tuesday. And that's it. We're going to add gappers as well in the morning. I do want to say one thing. You get emails from people that say, why don't you swing trade? It's less stressful. It's you know, it's a lot better way to go. It takes a lot less of your time and so on. And I would never get into a debate with somebody over whether or not day trading versus swing trading, because it absolutely depends on your life. If you got a full-time job and you're experimenting with the markets, you definitely can't try to day trade it, right? But for me, and it all depends on how you're wired too. For me, I love logging in every day and then making my money and closing out in cash. It's like having a brokerage account that every day you check the statement is bigger, right? Versus if I have 6, 7, 10 positions and one of them does really well and then two of them are lousy, or vice versa, it's like something's always taking away from my gains over here. And another thing, I hate being underwater. So if I take a trade on a swing trade basis and it's down like $1 or $2 but hasn't hit the stop based on the chart, I've got a long way to go just to get back to even in that position. I don't understand, if you have the luxury to be in front of your screens every day and you put some work in and some homework in and some time in, and you can learn how to make money every day and go home in cash, then that day trading is probably more suited for you. And that's how I am. I hate being red in a stock. I just don't see the reason. So some people say your entry isn't that important. To me, your entry is everything. Because if you learn how to enter right, and if you have the patience, you can be green right after your entry, right? And then you've got free shares, right? If you get a nice move in a stock that you just bought, you're basically sitting on free shares as long as you vow to protect your entry, right? So that's the way I'm wired, and that is exactly the type of trading that Wayne and I teach in our course, and it's the type of trading that I teach in the chat room. We certainly have other styles of traders in the room as well, but if I had to give a summary of my style, that's it. I hate being red in a stock, right? So I am perfectly comfortable sitting in cash, and I know exactly what to look for. I always have a good watch list every day, and then if one of mine sets up and gets to one of those points where it should go right away, that's when I get involved, right? I'm not always right, but if I'm wrong, I don't hang out more than, I don't think I've ever been underwater more than 2 minutes in a stock, in months, because, it's just the way I'm wired. Anyway, enough babbling. I just thought I would kind of give you my mindset versus why I am not interested in swing trading at all. But keep in mind, I have the luxury of being able to be in front of my screens all day, every day. But also the beauty of day trading, if you're doing it right, you should be done Eastern time. The market opens at 9:30. Should be done by 11:30 every day. That's when the best opportunities are, and then you get your daily goal, and you've got more of a life than some of these. If you're swing trading because you have a full-time job or whatever, to me, if you can day trade, you have more of a life than someone who's got a full-time job in swing trading and can probably do better in the markets too. But one more time, it all depends on how you're wired and your personal situation. I'm done babbling. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see everybody on Tuesday.